Thought I'd better film something for you because I haven't filmed out for a couple of days. Left my camera one day and just been kind of getting stuck into stuff, doing the doors and whatnot, but I've started doing these lights, so I thought I'd better show you what I'm doing. So we made these chassis out of the bucket mould and bolting the light into them first. It's a really tight fit in there. You need to make sure you've got it in the middle. So I've got that taped into there, and now all we've got to do, the bottom of this goes underneath that lip and the top of it goes up to the lip, and so you get that pushed into place and it kind of holds itself in there. You can see how it's fitting in there. And once you've got it lined up and straight, horizontal and at the depth you want it, and then you can see on the one over there, I've just put some fibre fill on that. That'll hold that in place until I then take the light out, flip the bonnet over, and then you could either use like bridging filler like that, fibre fill, what I've used there. I'm going to put fiberglass matting over the top of that, just a little bit stronger. And that'll be the lights done, which is a lot easier than previous videos where I've done it in two separate things. Part of the reason that I've not been filming is I've got Johnny the electrician and he's doing the lights. Look at the lights in there now, absolutely belter. But the lights are off in here at the minute, so in this bit, not happy with these doors. They're all right for this car, I can make them work, but I'm not going to take a mould of these, so I'm going to remake the mould. So everything that we've watched on them doors, as far as fitting them, or most of what we've watched on them doors, delete that and I'll make another video. So we're just done with doing the bracket as well. Jonathan's made the top bracket, now I've got my hinges, so I've just got the bracket that goes across the top. I've got that off and ground it up, give it a good clean up, and then I've just got some rust treatment on it now, so once that's dry I'll be able to fit that in so I can show you that. I've put the back wheels onto the car because I'm using those to line up where the clam's sitting to keep it central, so they just give us a visual location of where they need to be. So that's kind of where I'm at really. Not a lot to show you at the minute, but I'm doing the lights, so once those are in I'll flip it over and fiberglass them into place. Right, so I've got those both glassed in at the back just with bridging filler for now. I haven't flipped it over yet, and I've took the lights out. I drew around the lights as to where they were sitting, and you can see there that new bit is sitting underneath this bit. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear that out, because when the light moves it is quite a tight fit, so that'll give it a little bit extra movement. So I'll be able to take that out and then just fill the edge in, so there'll be a little step down, but it'll be behind where the light sits. I'm not going to do that just yet though. Another thing that I'm going to do with these, because now they haven't got like separate bits of bracket, they're going to hold water, so they're going to want a couple of holes drilled in the bottom of them to get rid of the water. That one's the same, but if I can get rid of that lip, that'll give us a lot extra movement on it, because as it moves it sort of tightens up. And through here, the lights aren't working in here at the minute, so I've got the spot lamps on, but you can't really see, but that bracket is now bonded into place. Does still need a bit of a tweak on the positioning, just a little bit. It's alright there, but it's over this way a little bit, and it's sitting straight on the wheels, but we've got a bit of a misalignment here now. It needs to come over, so that'll sort itself out a little bit when I bring it over there, but I don't want it to go any higher, so that bit that's hanging down there, I'll grind that off so that it lines up with that bit there. Also, we've got a bit of a gap there. Now, I was expecting this. What's happened is when I originally made the moulds, the back wasn't on quite straight, it was over this way, and we only noticed it. Everything looked fine, but we only noticed it when we come to put the wheels on, the bigger wheels, and you could see that one was sticking out a little bit further than the other. So I was like, hang on a minute, what's going on here? Well, what it was the clam was slightly over this way. So the roof was made and the clam was made in that position. So if you see this bit here, see there's a line there. So what we're doing with the mould now, just extending that end plate like about 10 mil out the way so that the kit, the quarter panel here, is slightly longer, which sorts out the gap there, because when you got it straight there was a huge gap. So that sorts that out, but we're still on the old roof mould, which needs this buttress moved a little bit. I am going to be making new moulds. If you do end up with one of these roofs, that's what you got to do. You just got to put a little skim of filler on there just to even that out, and then that's the clam in the proper position. So I can't do that with that now until the tiger seal's cured in the top there. That'll be sorted tomorrow, so I'll be able to mess on with that. And the way we're going to adjust that is essentially loosen these bolts off, elongate the holes, and then you can move the clam about where you want anyway. So that it's a relatively easy tweakable point. Hopefully when I'm supplying these kits in the future, we'll have a jig that I'm going to make so that we can put this bar in, make it a lot easier for you, and then you've just got to bolt your hinges in. So, you know, that bit of the hinge, the upright of the hinge. So I haven't done that yet, and you might have to bolt your own bar in, but it's not particularly difficult, just a little bit fiddly. So that's kind of what I've got done today so far. Got here at 11 o'clock. Had Jonathan over here and messing on him, talking and what have you. So I don't know. Let's take out half an hour off and go to 3. So we're at 4 hours today so far, which will put us at 36 hours in total so far. Just got here. It's 12:15, but I'm not starting yet because the kettle's on. So this is now bonded, hinges are bolted on, still a bit of adjusting to do, and what'll happen at the minute is it's catching. I'll show you where. There we go. Actually, I'll get a little prop. Yeah, there we go. They do move about a little bit, like, but it's nice to get to this point anyway where things are, you know, bolted together. I've still waiting on Jonathan doing the 3D printed bits, because the front hinges go on razors, like little spacer blocks. So I think he's doing that now, and then I'll be able to get the front bolted up, and then I can start the real bodywork. I don't really class this as bodywork. This is just assembly, you know. So, well, the bodywork is the tidying up of the edges, a little bit of filler. Obviously, we've got the doors to do quite a bit of work on, sorting, getting everything lined up and stuff. So, yeah, getting there though. Nice to get that lifting up. So while I've got this bonnet upside down, I'm just going around sanding these edges, like all the returns. They have like tape marks on them and stuff, so little dips and whatnot, so I will put a skim of filler over them, but I'm just going around sanding see the tape marks there? Just sanding all that off, hitting this edge as well, and then we'll go around with a little skim of filler around the edges just to tidy them up, You see there? It's all underneath, but you know, you may as well get it looking a lot better if you can than what it is. Same there, little step in there. Doesn't take much doing, but I'm just doing it with. I've got a bit of 40 grit on the sanders. Just rough it up and then little skimmer filler over it, and then you can start smoothing with some smoother paper. Just so that you know the differences between the sandpapers as well, just in case you don't. 40 grit's about the roughest you're going to use. 80 grit is a bit smoother, and the higher up in numbers that you go, the smoother it is. So I tend to use 40 grit, 80 grit, 180 grit. So 40 is just for knocking stuff off, like really rough stuff. 80, that's for rub and filler, getting the surface down. And then before primer, you want to use 180. So those are your sort of pre-primer sandpapers that you're going to use dry. I just use discs, then I can use them for the sander, and I use them on the little soft blocks as well. I don't know whether I've got any laid about, I can show you. But and those are designed for taking the discs, Velcro backed discs like that go onto your sander as well. And then after that, once you're in primer, you're using sometimes 180 if you're knocking it off and going to re-prime it, or 400 grit. So that's basically what I use. I'll go to 400, and then once you've hit your primer with 400, especially if you're doing a solid colour, you can paint over the top of that and you don't see the marks of the 400. So that's basically what I use. If you wanted to then go a bit smoother, to if you were going to be painting with like say a metallic, you want to be hitting your primer with, getting onto the wet and dries now, 600 grit, even 800 grit for your base coat colours. So 40 grit, 80 grit, 180 grit, 400 grit. That's pretty much all I use. So one thing I've found quite tricky doing by myself, most of the stuff I can do by myself, occasionally you need a hand, you know, an extra set of hands. But one thing I have found tricky doing by myself is fitting the side skirts and getting them to line up. I'll show you why. With the back to there, because these fronts are a bit tight. Now, in the past I've put cuts, and on the other one I have put cuts in it to relieve the pressure in that bit there. But then I thought, hang on a minute, there must be another way. So I've just used a scissor jack sat on top of a kind of thinners, wound that up, it's pushed the side skirt back and lined it up for us without a extra set of hands. So that's my top tip for the day. Scissor jack to push the side skirt back, and then like where the holes are marked, you tend to have to elongate the holes to get it right. At the end of the day, you need it right at that point. So yeah, pleased with that one. So I'm fitting the hinges on the bonnet. These are the hinges, come with the kit. The stamped up Zoo, that's the manufacturer on there, and then it's got some like CE marks and stuff like that on there. So I like to put them with the manufacturing marks and the CE marks on the bonnet, because when you look under the bonnet and it's lifted, you see the Zoo logo. So these are stainless steel roller bearing hinges, so they won't rust. See a lot of these kit cars with like using normal hinges and stuff, and it just rusts, and then you got rust running down the front bumper and stuff. It looks horrible. So stainless steel hinges. So those come with the kit, and so do these things. So these are 3D printed razors, little blocks that the hinge sits on like that to raise the bonnet up. And also in the kit is these things. So these are for going on the back of here to hold your nuts. I'll put these in the kit as well. So you dig out the filler filament that's in there, and then once you've got that out, you can put these. They're a 10mm flanged nut. So those just click into there like so, and if it doesn't sit right in, you've got a little bit of plastic that's in the way. So just screw one of your bolts into it, and yeah, just want to make sure it's cleared out properly in the back so that the nut sits all the way in. And so what they do is they hold the nuts captive, so that if you ever have to take the hinge off, or when you're fitting the bonnet up or anything, you don't have to mess on with a spanner on the back of it. They're already there. So that goes like that, and then that goes on there, bolts through and holds it all together. So what I'll do is I'll put a little bit of tiger seal on there, and then we'll stick that to the back, hold that there, and then once the tiger seal's gone on, you've got captive nuts on the back of the bonnet. Just makes it easier to work with. You could do it with spanners and shit, but it is awkward. So like, for say you wanted to take the bonnet off but not take the bumper off, because these also bolt the bonnet on at that point there, don't know what you see. So your bracket's sitting underneath that bumper. So not only does the hinge hold the front clam on, let's call it the clam, but it also fixes the bumper on. So if you were to have that together and want to remove the clam, the front clam, then you would have to get underneath the car to unbolt them, to take the whole hinge and everything off, you know. So just to take the clam off separately, without touching the bumper brackets, then this is the easiest way to do it, because doing that and the nuts on the back, trust me, is quite tricky. Find a blade, just get that off. Hopefully this tube's still alive. So it's got a bunch of holes in it, so I'm just squirting that through the holes. Line that up. Hinge. And then stainless steel countersunk Allen heads. I might need longer ones than that, actually. Oh no, we got it. Lovely. And what I'm going to do with the next one, I think there was a bit of fiberglass in the way on the back of that. You know, stopping it lining up properly. The plate on the back. We've got it, but I'll just check that the other one's clear. Nice. Where's my belt sander? So yeah, you might have like little lumps of fiberglass on the back. Also, like this hinge recess, you'll see clearly where it sits in. You need to give that a bit of a clear out as well, just with your belt sander. Just go in and tidy it up, make sure that the hinge is sitting down into it nice. Obviously then you're going to drill your holes, and you want to make sure that your holes are all lining up with plenty of clearance, and that'll sit in nicely and everything's lining it like able to line up. Like I say, I should have done that, cleared that back one off. It'd be fine. It's not going nowhere. So again, just squirting that through making sure it goes through the holes, just so it gets a better hold. Not the holes of your bolts, the nuts, the holes on the plastic doofer. Show you how that's looking. Yep. So that's the hinges fitted to the bonnet. They will be coming back off again for, you know, sanding all these edges, and there's going to be little bits of fill around there. I mean, all of these are back edges. You can't see it. You got to get your outer edges right, but I just like to get these edges nice as well, you know, like you'll see some mold marks on it and stuff. You can't see it most of the time, but when you lift the bonnet up, you can see it. So, and certainly if you're building something that you're going to take to shows, it's not the outer part of the car that judges look at. It's the bits that you can hide, it's the bits that you can cover up, it's the bits in the back, you know. Proper judging at a car show, they come at you with mirrors on sticks, you know, and anyone can get the outside looking nice, but it's those bits that you can hide and leave, and so, you know, they're going to check first, and if those aren't done, then the rest of the car fails. So always tidy up your back edges. Right, so these blocks then, with the hinge down in position, would then sit on there, which then sits on there, which then bolts straight the way through your bracket. So that's the next bit. These, like I say, the 3D printed, so they're a little bit tight on that hole. So just run the drill through those as well. Give it a bit clear out. See that one there? Yeah. So that goes there. Then, actually, yep. That goes through there, through your bumper, through the bracket, nut and a washer on the back. Right, just on with getting this bumper lined up. I'm working off spot lamps at the minute because it's still like wiring the lights in here. He hasn't got these done yet. So these uprights that are on the bumper, I put them on the mould as an afterthought because I realised it would be easier to mount the bumper, but I didn't really position them. I just put them there and kind of hoped that they would work, but they're not quite central. So I've got, without any measurements, I can see that it's level with the tyre there, but it's inward of the tyre there, the outer edge of the bumper. So the bumper needs to come across a little bit, and that lug is stopping that because they're the same width as the mountings here. So I'm going to have to cut that one off and put a new one on it, and anybody fitting the kit will have to do that as well because that's how it comes. That one will be fine. Originally what I did was I made some angle, and I've done it again here. So made an angle section with a bit of fiberglass and fixed that onto there, and then I put like a little bit of rubber pipe in between, so it was like a soft mounting as well. So basically I'm going to have to do the same again, but I'll still be able to use that one, but I need to move the bumper over that way. So I'm going to cut this off, and then I can move the bumper and get it centralised, and then start getting some measurements, because at the minute it just won't go anywhere near where it needs to be. So I'll get that chopped off. Now I'm lining it up off the tyres, but I need to take some measurements as well, just so we get everything right. So I'm just going to mess on with that a little bit. Right, so I've chopped that off, moved it across a little bit. I measured from that little raise there to that little raise there to get a centre, and the catch is centre, and there's a hole on there that's centre. This is slightly off to the left of that, but measuring that doesn't mean that I've got those perfectly central. This was never designed in CAD and, you know, cut the molds CNC'd or 3D printed. It's all, you know, hand done. So that's off about 5 mil the centre that way. So what I've done is you see that bit there? So if I put the tape measure underneath until it's hitting that, and then I measure into the outer edge of the bumper. So I've got 21 and 3 mil there. I think I've got 21 and a half here. I've also cleared these bits out a little bit more because it hits the chassis leg and it needs to sit right back of it. So if I bring that over just a tiny fraction, and again, it's not super accurate, but measuring from there, I've got 59. And that's bending over the top of the tyre as well. I've actually got 59 and a half there. So this side might need to come back a little bit, but it's all about that lining up with the bonnet. So it's no good at coming back and making those exactly the same if it's not gonna, if those tips aren't gonna line up with the bonnet. So although your measurements give you a rough figure to work from, you've got to do have to make little compensations along the way as well. For instance, you want it to sit evenly there and there. You don't want part of it to sit further out. So with the bonnet positioned where it's got a decent gap, that's lining up with that, and that's lining up with that. This looks pretty good here. Difficult one to measure, but it feels the same. It could just do with coming a fraction back, so it does need to come back a little bit on here. Just eyeballing this down to the front edge. 2 centimeters. 2.5 centimeters. So this side does need to go back 5 mil back there. We should be pretty close after that. Hell of a gale blowing outside. Right, what I'm going to do now, got the bonnet sitting into reasonable gaps there. It's lined up at the corners. Similar gap there. Again, lined up with the corners. With your gaps, obviously we can grind a little bit off if we need to, if it's a little bit tight. That one's slightly bigger than the other one, but I think that one needs tuck off. Also, like lining up from this point here to the door. Again, that's slightly, I'm just talking like a mil or so in the way where that one's sitting bob on, but I can take the edge off that. Tolerances, we've got to work with, you know, it's got to be slightly adjustable. At the end of the day, as long as it looks all right when it's together. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to peel that hinge out like that. I'm going to get one of these blocks and stick it on there, and then I'm just going to stick 2 bolts into it so it keeps it lined up with the holes correctly, like so. Another one there, and then I'll shut the hinge down. Like that. And now, should have maybe done this when the bonnet was off. Oh, wrong side. We don't want anything to move. Yeah, I might actually do this with the bonnet off and then just put a bit of tape on them so they don't go anywhere. And I need to make sure that the bumper's not moving as well. Just take this off again. The bonnet is so light. Okay, just going to put a bit of tape around that so that they don't move. And then I'll just double check the bumper because I might have knocked it. And then I'll sit this on, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to draw around the outside edge of the block, right up against the edge of it, and then I can position the block onto the bumper once I've got my line drawn. Take the bonnet off, position the block where I've drawn around it on the bumper, and then that gives us a template for where I need to drill my holes, because we're drilling the holes through the bumper and into the through the front cross member as well. And again, you can make these holes a little bit bigger, the ones that are going through the cross member, so you've got a little bit of adjustment, but we want them pretty damn close, you know. Right, I'm going to measure the bumper again. Right, I've put a bit of tape on there, cleaned it off with thinners. Now then, this car is absolutely shit up at the minute. I can't get it outside because this door won't open, so I can't get it outside to pressure wash it. It will be cleaned, and all of this will be painted, all of this will be rust treated before it goes together fully, you know, in the end. But right now I'm just building the car, so Anyway, I've cleaned those off so that the tape sticks properly. I've got a nice long sharp pencil. I'm going to lay the bonnet on and then I'm going to draw around them blocks. Right, so I've got my lights going off. You alright there, Johnny? Was that supposed to happen?
No, that must be a power cut.
Power cut. Right, so we've got a power cut. I'm now working by torchlight. So as I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted, I've drawn around my block with him on the bonnet and then I've took it off. I keep on calling it a bonnet, don't I? I need to start calling it a clamp. Drawn around my block, positioned the block onto there and drawn my holes through there. So I'm just going to drill through the bumper and obviously that'll make a mark onto the cross member. And then I'll take the bumper off to drill the actual holes in the cross member. Bonus, the power's back on. We had a power cut the other day as well and it was off for most of the day. I just ended up going home. Johnny the electrician's just arrived, you see, so I thought he'd maybe switched it off there or something, but it wasn't him. Maybe run a smaller drill through that first. It's right on the weld as well. Right, so I've now put the longer bolts through. Same scenario, bolts through from the back, blocks on. I've only got 2 on this one because I couldn't get snapping drill bits and everything. Because that's right on the weld, it wouldn't bloody drill. So I think, pointing in the wrong place. I think Jonathan uses stainless steel feed wire, so I'm going to need to get some more drills to get through that. Mine must be chocolate. Anyway, so what I'll do is I'll sit the bumper back on now and then position that up with the holes, and then I can sit the bonnet on and those bolts should go straight through them holes. I've had to shut this back door because that wind's getting even worse, like it's crazy. It's just about taking the door off the flipping wall. Blocks have fell off. So I'll put a little bit of tape on them, just hold them on. For the new. I know you can't see what I'm doing, but trust us, that's what I'm doing. Get it lined up reasonably good and the holes won't be too far off. I don't think they'll just fall in it though. Three on that one, two on this one. There we go. Right, now we'll get underneath, get the nuts on, jugger. That's the bonnet fixed on at the front anyway, and then we can do the back pins later. So what I've done, I've drilled holes through that, and I've drilled some holes through that. You just use a bridge and filler, or fibre fill. Bridge and filler and fibre fill is pretty much the same thing, because I want it to go through the holes, just to give us a bit extra. Contact and grip. Also where I've ground off the gel coat, I've went down a layer so that this doesn't sit too proud. It's alright actually, I'm not gonna. I don't think I need to put the clamp on it. I'm just gonna get the little fingies in. So once that's cured, I can just grind it up, drill my hole, and I'll be able to bolt through there. Those captive nuts in there, you need to run a tap. You need to run a tap through there because they're like a pinch bolt. So it locks up really heavy if you go all the way through, and really we want to go all the way through it. So if you run a tap through it, that sorts that out. Once that's cured, I can drill the hole, get it lined up with that. What I will need to do is put the bonnet down, because I need to make sure that the height's right and it's meeting there without touching it. You want like a little gap, so like maybe set a bit of cardboard in between here and there, because if you don't, it could knock. You know, like if it's close, and you know you could get like a knocking noise. So if you have it gapped slightly, then it shouldn't do that. Best tools ever in your hands. Put a bit on there. Right, back at it. 42 hours in. Still got some brackets to make. The back here, there's another one to do at the bottom there. We do use, if they're there, this one was missing one, the top bracket that holds the side skirt on the original MR2. So there is a bracket there that we can use. You straighten it out and then bolt it through there. But this is missing one. I think so I'm going to have to make one anyway. I'm going to make some fiberglass ones, and I need to make the ones that go from that mounting there across to the bottom there. It just stops any move. I mean, like, if you look at that, like how solid it is, it's barely moving, but I'm gonna add an extra bracket in there as well. So those to do. The doors are to remove and start doing the body work on, so that's coming. But I got the hinges fitted yesterday for the bonnet, clam and bumper. So I'm just drilling these side brackets now. So yesterday I fitted that one on because this one needs altered. So I've done that one yesterday. This bit of cardboard there is just acting as a spacer, so that I could get that lined up with the bonnet but keep a gap because you don't want it knocking on it. I've taped that into place, and then I'm going to drill through that hole, that bolt backwards, so that I've got that lined up. And then all you got to do is you elongate the hole a little bit up and down so that you can then make your adjustments on that as you need. So I'm about to do that, and I'll probably do these brackets, and then once they're done I'll maybe do a final trim on the door handles, get the door handles fitting in, and then I can start body working everything. I've got bits like this that I've knocked off that I need to fill in. I've got these holes that I need to fill in across the top of the door, which will all have also created a undulation across the top of the door. May as well drill the holes for the indicators. Now these are the side repeaters are Fiat Coupe. I think they're also Fiat Bravo, and they're also Ferrari 355. But don't go buying Ferrari 355 ones because you'll pay a fortune. Just get Fiat Coupe ones, which are exacto mundo the same. You can get tinted ones, you can get normal yellow ones, and you can get clear ones. But I just ordered another set of those last night. It was about 50 quid. So yes, that's what I'm doing. I'll set you up on a tripod and drill this all. I often feel some of these things that I'm doing are pretty obvious, pretty self-explanatory, but for sure, yeah. Show you, and you can't say I didn't show you. Same on the other side. This is just a guide hole, so it's a lot smaller than the bolt that I'm drilling through, the nut that I'm drilling through. I think this drill bit is quite blunt because I was trying to drill that bracket yesterday, and Jonathan had used stainless steel filler wire to weld it. Drill through the mild steel alright, but I think I've killed several drill bits trying to drill through the stainless steel, so I've been and bought some new drill bits today. Upgrade.
bolt down the inside of my overall. And I'm just going to come out of one of the legs eventually.
Obviously this will be coming off and I'll be tidying all that up. With these shorter Allen bolts, it's not going right the way through, so it is actually nipping it up. So, you know, I was saying that you need to put a tap through it. The pinch is at the far end of it, so you might not need to run a tap through them. Now then, this one was sitting a little bit low, so I'm just going to pull that up a fraction. It doesn't really matter right now, it doesn't need to be lined up or anything as such, but just putting that in so you can see how that fixes up, and then we're absolutely solid on the bumper. And there's still more mountings to go on the bumper, because when we put the under tray on, it fixes right around the front edge and up to the corners of the bumper, and then fixes the underneath side of the car, so it's by the time all that's on, it's super secure. Right, so I'm getting ready to take this back to bits again, start on the bodywork. Obviously I've got work to do on the doors and whatnot, so it all needs to come back to bits shortly, but I want to get this bit sorted first. You know, I was saying that there's a bit of a gap here that needs rectified, so I'm just going to show you how to do it, because until I've made a new mould of this roof, you'll always need to do it, so it's not a major job. I've roughed that up with the belt sander on that face there, and I've put a bit of tape on the clam there, so when I put the clam down, there's not a lot, it's like 3 mil, 4 mil, something like that, but it needs doing. So what I'm going to do is lift that clam back up, put some filler on there, put it back down so it squidges down to it, and that will give us a solid, it'll tighten the gap right up. So then I'll have to sand it back a little bit, but that gives us a gauge of how far it needs to be, and it won't be too far. So that's how I'm going to do that. Get it round onto the top as well, because you don't want it to be like a gold edge. And we'll put more on than we need to. Just building it up, and then I'm going to let it squidge out. Good word, isn't it? Squidge. See what I'm doing there? Not really. It's a bit hard to film sometimes when your head's getting in the way. It's not even right down to the bottom, it's like to the bottom of that buttress. It's further up, the bottom's fine. Just put a little bit more on for good look up at this top section. Okay, so I'm going to put that down. So we'll let that go off. The tape will stop it sticking to the clamp, and that'll give us the guide of where it needs to be. If I get me for the card and just push that back into there like that. Take off the excess. While I'm here, I've got bits along here that I now need to do, so I may as well use the filler. It'd actually be better if I got a bit of tape on there just to stop it getting all over the window rubber. Like that. Not trying to get that perfect, but getting a little bit of filler into it's a good start. Really needs prepped around the edge, but I'll knock that off and it'll the filler where because I've had the grinder on those edges, so they're keyed up all right, but the surrounding area isn't. So I'll have to sand that filler right back, but that gives us something to start working with. You're better having too much in than not enough. Well, on small areas anyway. If it's a big area, then you need to build it up slowly, but right, that'll do for that. I'll let that set and then I'll be able to take the clam off. Meanwhile, I'm going to take everything else off. So there you go, nice and tight. Still needs sanding back a little bit, but obviously I can create the gap I want. There's not much of a gap on the other side at all. So a bit of shaping up around there to do and flatten it off, and that's that sorted. Easy. Right, this is at a stage now where pretty happy with the way things are sitting. There's final alignment stuff to do, but I've got like still edges, and I've got like, I'm going to start on the bodywork. There's the seams to work and whatnot, and it's just easier to do it with it off the car, with them on a trestle and supported properly so they're not wobbling about and stuff. So I'm going to show you in real time how quickly this comes to bits. And now you've got it to this stage, it kind of goes back together pretty much as quick. Obviously not quite as quick, but I'll talk you through what I'm doing. I'm going to get a paint pot for my bolts. So I'm just taking the bolts out of the hinges that hold the clam on. There's 2 of those. And then the clam, if you put your knees underneath there and lift backwards, you can lift the clam off by yourself. Side skirts. Got 2 tech screws in here. Lift them out. I've got one underneath somewhere. Oh no, I haven't got it in. Okay. Tech screws are 8mm. Watch when you open the doors when things aren't perfectly lined up because they can catch. Alright, I've got a tech screw in there as well. Where's my socket gone? That's it. Take that out first. So I've got 2 10mm. And another tech screw. Swap that out. Side skirt off. Come round, we'll do the other side. Let's check what I've got going on under here. Yep, on there. I've made me brackets for there, just out a bit of a flat fiberglass. I'll probably leave the roof on because that's kind of a good way to work on it. It's nicely supported. There'll be bits that I maybe need to take it off for, but remember, careful not to open the door too far when you've not got the door stays on. Where's my 10mm gone? Not been watching the clock, but not took very long so far, has it? Right, round to the front. Now I've got, where's my T-bar? Right one. Yep. I'll just prop this bonnet up while I take out these Allen heads. Just them out. Let that back down again. And I need my extension with the 10mm on. Put those in there. What have I done with it? Get under there. There's only 2 in that one because I couldn't drill through the stainless steel weld, but I've got some new drill bits this morning, so I'll be able to get through that later. Get a shot of them. So the bonnet off. Clam, front clam. That's not ideal. And the bumper off. $14mm for the, that's a 12, where's my 14? Not a 12, are they? Oh, they are a 12. Doors shut at the back. Untangle me wires. Keep a bit of pressure on the door with your hip, just so that it doesn't drop out at the front. Not your hip, the door. Pop your catch. That's the door off. Just going to leave that sat there for now. It's all right. Now if I wanted to take the roof off, it's not bonded on. It's 2 screws at the front, 2 12s at the back. That's it done. These hinges are on with tech screws at the minute. I'll buzz them out actually because I don't need them. I don't need them on. Eventually you'll put those on with proper bolts and big washers on the back just to spread the load. So I'm going to leave the roof on just because it's easier to work on there. So what did that take? 10 minutes to put it back together. See, now all the work that's been done, all the drilling the holes, getting everything to line up, fitting the door skins, trimming your edges, all that sort of stuff. Now that that's done, the car will just go back together like that. So it's kind of a lot simpler from this point on. Now we get onto the bodywork stage. Like I say, all this prep, it just makes it easier for moving forward. At this stage as well, this is when we would be, obviously the car is manky underneath, there's some rust to treat, there's a little bit of welding to do actually as well, just up in here where there's a hole in there where the inner arch clip was. So that's to weld. And there's a lot of rust to clean off and that. But at this stage as well, this is when, in between doing bodywork and that, this is where you would do all the prep for the chassis. I paint them black, the chassis, because it how do I put it? It doesn't emphasise it. If you were to paint it white, you can see it all and it's really noticeable. But if you paint it black, it's not as noticeable. Not that like you need to hide it, but it's not something that you need to see, you know. So painting it black, it's a neutral colour. Well, it's not even a colour, but it's a neutral colour, so it draws your eye away from it, you know. Also at this point, this is when you would take your brackets off, your hinges and everything. You're gonna rust treat them, prime them, get them painted. So your back bracket, your front bracket, your back bracket, and your hinges. But literally, that's what's holding the whole car together. There'd be a couple more bolts, but pretty much a handful of bolts, and it's well held together. Doesn't need any more. Obviously, there's in comparison, those are all the bolts that came off the original car. So makes it loads lighter. Right, so I don't know how long that took, but it certainly wasn't very long. Probably takes twice the amount of time to put it back together, but it's not that much, and it just goes back together how it was. So what I'll be doing now is I'll be getting the I'll get everything prepped. I'm going to be dealing with edges, corners, the seams, and once I've got it into early filler stage, I'll put it back together so that I can check that everything's still right, that nothing's tweaked or anything, before I would move then to primer. So now it'll go back together maybe 2 or 3 times and come apart before it's ready to paint. And at that point I would paint everything separately and then build the car. When you do the final build on it, you can put Bonder along the side skirts and stuff, like Tiger Seal or whatever, to secure like the top edge of it and stuff like that. It's obviously a more permanent fit, but once you've got it all painted and all ready to go, then that's fine to do it at that stage. So yeah, onto bodywork. Right, that's everything laid out on the trestles, clam, bonnet, front clam, doors. These are the returns that go along that back edge, screw along there. I took them off because I still need to do the rust treatment on these doors, so I'm going to do that now. There's the front bumper, both the side skirts. That clam's a fresh kit. In fact, that clam could be part of your kit, the one that you're going to build after you've watched this video. Right, so rust treatment, what I'm using is Hammerite K-Rust. So it's a very milky substance, kind of stinks even more when you put it on as well. And I've got like this edge here to do, around the handle inside there, and the bottom edge of the door there. And once I've done that, I can put those angled bottom bits back on again and bond them on. Same on this door. Oh, and through the holes as well. So I'll just poke it through there, because obviously I've drilled through the panels there, so I'll do those as well. I have got the brackets off, but they need sanded, so if I've got a bunch of K-Rust left though, which I probably will, I'll probably give them a quick sand up and do those as well, and then they're done. So there's the front bracket, the back bracket, and the two hinges. Goes for miles, this stuff. What you don't want to do is that stuff that's in there now, you don't want to put it back into the pot, because there's a bit of sealer on there I need to scrape off, because obviously it's like got metal in it and it'll set off the chemical reaction. It's some sort of acid, I think. It works as a primer as well as a rust killer. Not like a primer, but like a pre-primer. You can paint over the top of it basically. Trying to get it into them holes the best I can. Should have really done this before I put the door skin on, but I didn't, so my bad. Just made it a bit more fiddly for myself. So yeah, this stuff goes black once it's dry. And that's how you know it's done its job. And so if you didn't even prime over the top of it, you know, it would still work as a coating, you know, a protective coating. got a bit of 180. Not so much keying it up because it's metal, but gets a bit of surface shite on it. And even if I get a coat on this and then come back at it and hit it a bit harder with the sandpaper before, it's painted or primed. Still gives you a better base to start with. Will do. Here's Jonathan. Say hello, Jonathan. Set that in that groove and it'll stop it moving. Not the best of workbenches to be doing this on, but just avoiding me screw holes so I can see where they're at. Line it up. Shouldn't need too much on these, just enough to secure it. My screws. Chuck a couple more in it. Just make sure. Now when you're doing this, make sure you bond the correct side. I've already prepped these, I've cleaned them up, ground off the surface, roughed them up, and the back of the door, so that'll give a good key for the sealer. Now this stuff is nothing like silicone. It's way stronger, and it goes much harder. It doesn't go super hard. It is a flexible sealer, but not soft and squidgy like silicone is. And then tomorrow, when this has gone off, I can then get in the back and do all the bits in the back as well. Put a couple more in for luck. And like the top, it'll create a little bit of a ripple, but I'll be filling the gap in there. Bit of fibre fill on the bottom and sort that out. The face of the door will get a skim in these areas, so it's no big issue. What you don't want is it to be super high. It doesn't matter about like low bits, but you don't want a bit sticking up too high. So when I come in tomorrow, that'll be nice and solid. Sometimes you need to do jobs like this and work out your timing so that you're able to continue on with it the next day, because I could flip that over and do the sealer on the back of it right now, but I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna leave it. I'm actually, before I go tonight, which is going to be shortly, I'm going to put some expanding foam in the back of these, and I don't normally do that, but I've made these doors skins a bit thinner than I normally do. So the 600 GSM thickness instead of 750. They're all right, but they've got a little bit of flex in them, so I'm just going to put some expanding foam in the back of it just to solid them up a little bit. So I'm going to do that, and then that'll be me going home. Well, that's fantastically messy stuff, isn't it? If you're going to do it, follow the instructions. It says wear gloves. I did wear gloves. I do wish that I'd masked these up before I started doing it, because I got a little bit of foam on the cables there, but I'm sure. Look at it, it's all over the floor. Trying not to stand in it, or else it'll be all over my car. So I'm sure that's going to continue to spew out and make a mess of the garage, but it'll all scrape off tomorrow. My hope is that I don't come in tomorrow and the flipping door looks like a balloon. That wouldn't be good, but there's enough holes for it to get out of. I've stuffed the door handles with paper just to hopefully avoid those filling up, and I stuck it up through the door handle as well and got it in as far as I could. So provided it doesn't buckle them out, I don't think it's a bad thing to do, regardless of whether the doors are a little bit flexing or what. I think it's probably a good thing to do. It's just a messy job. So yes, do it at your own peril, but we'll find out tomorrow whether it's going to have been a really bad idea or not. I was on the fence. I didn't know whether it needed, because I'm going to have to do a lot of bodywork to these doors, sanding and whatnot, it's better if you've got something to be able to press on, so it'll make them a lot firmer. But next set of door skins that are coming out the moulds will be thicker and a lot stronger. These are the lightweight racing versions. Right, I'm going to go home. Hang on a minute, I'm going to check my times. Let's have a look. And I've been keeping my little wall chart updated. Need a pen, it's dark in here. Right, so it's 5:30. Got here about 11. Take an hour off for messing about. So let's say 5.5 hours. So 42. So we're now 47.5.